Hello, and welcome to Songwriters Spotlight, the Western Mass Songwriters Collaborative Series. I'm Dr. Dan, your host of the show, where we feature Western Mass songwriters who perform their original songs and talk about the art of songwriting. Stay tuned to explore more about music and the tunesmithing that creates it. Our guest on this episode is Bob Chabot, a prolific, longtime songwriter. His songs are personal, topical, and sometimes amusing. He'll perform a selection of his songs and tell the story of his songwriting career.
This is the oldest song that I wrote that I still play. This is the oldest song that I still play that I wrote. It's called On My Way. Told my lady it was time to be on my way. Midnight wind was calling out my name. Miles between us now of empty open highway, and I know I will never be the same. Be the same. But I can't stop now, I'm on my way. I'm not sure where I'm going to. I don't have much to say. No, I can't talk now, I'm on my way. And maybe we'll meet up again one day. Saw an old friend from the hometown yesterday. He said you should come around more, see the guys. Made a plan for Friday, though I knew I'd slip away. And I wondered if he saw it in my eyes. In my eyes. That I can't stop now, I'm on my way. I'm not sure where I'm going to. I don't have much to say to you. I can't talk now, I'm on my way. And maybe you'll catch up with me one day. Left her at the airport, so hard to watch her go. 3,000 miles between us for a while. Memories and phone calls will have to do for now. But I sure am gonna miss that woman's smile. I'll miss her smile. But I can't stop now, I'm on my way. I'm not sure where I'm headed to. I don't have much to say. No, I can't talk now, I'm on my way. And I know that I will see her again one day. So this is a song, I guess I'll say more about this. There's a story behind this song too, but up front, this is a song that I wrote in 2003. believe I began this song on the wee morning hours of October 17th, 2003. And the song started out as moaning and wailing because I was in pain, because the Boston Red Sox had just lost Game 7 of the American League Championship Series to the Evil Empire. And it had looked, they got so close. They had gotten so close. And they took a 3-run lead into the 8th inning. And Pedro Martinez had pitched 7 beautiful innings. I believe it was 4-1 when they started the 8th. And he was up, I think, over 100 pitches in the pitch count, which was 10 pitches beyond where he usually was pitching. And so we were just waiting for the start of the 8th inning for Timlin or Embry, I think, to come out. And there it was, and Pedro was on the mound again. I was like, whoa. Grady Little was the interim manager at that point. He replaced, I forget who, I forget who he replaced. A footnote. But Grady, it's now another footnote in Red Sox history. But this is a song about what happened. It's called Too Long on the Mound. Oh Grady, now look what you've done. Into the 8th, up by 3 runs. But when it was over and the dust settled down, you'd have left Pedro out there to die on the mound. Oh Grady, how could you go so wrong? 5 outs away and your bullpen was strong, and it's a manager's duty to make a difficult call when his superstar pitcher should give up the ball. And if there's a God sitting up there in heaven, he will not let you in till you atone for Game 7. 'Cause all over Boston, a low dying sound. Grady left Pedro too long on the mound. Grady left Pedro too long on the mound. Oh Grady, it's been 17 years since the Sox brought us fans any World Series cheers, and it won't be no different this time around. 'Cause you left Pedro out there to die on the mound. Oh Grady, it was no curse this time, unless it's a curse that takes away a man's mind. 'Cause yours sure went missing in the bottom of the 8th, leaving all us believers to question our faith. 'Cause all of us watching, we knew what to do. Embry was ready and Timlin was too. And from the Berkshires to Boston came a low dying sound. Grady left Pedro too long on the mound. Grady left Pedro too long on the mound. Oh Grady, you'll not be back next year. When they put you on that Greyhound, I'll not shed a tear. I'll just pick myself up and go find me a reason to go through it all again in the next season. 'Cause all of us watching, we knew what to do. Embry was ready and Williamson too. But from the Berkshires to Boston came a low dying sound. Grady left Pedro too long on the mound. Grady left Pedro too long on the mound. Grady, why did you leave Pedro so long on the mound? Did you see Mrs. Johnson? Did you see? Were you watching when, in protest, a black man took a knee? Did you let the great deceiver tell you what your thoughts should be? Did you see Mrs. Johnson? Did you see? Were you there, Mrs. Johnson? Were you there when those kids died in their classrooms? Did you send your thoughts and prayers? Did you talk about amendments as the town lay in despair? Were you there, Mrs. Johnson? Were you there? Did you know, Mrs. Johnson, did you know the earth is getting warmer? It's now begun to show, and our children and grandchildren will have no place else to go. Did you know, Mrs. Johnson, did you know? Did you hear, Mrs. Johnson? Did you hear? 2 kids died on the border, separated and in fear. Will you ever think about them? Is that not your kind of tear? Did you hear, Mrs. Johnson? Did you hear? Did you fall, Mrs. Johnson? Did you fall? Will you get down on your knees and beg forgiveness for it all? Did you ever think to ask yourself, would Jesus build a wall? Did you fall, Mrs. Johnson? Did you fall? All right, so this is a song. Songs, this is a song that was inspired by my sister, who just happens to be in the cloister. My oldest sister, Luann, left for the cloister when I was 13 years old. Probably has something to do with my agnosticism. And every so often she gets frustrated with my agnosticism. And it's such that we, for 10 years, went without talking. I said we're not going to talk about religion. If you want to keep seeing me, we cannot talk about religion. And that frustrated her, but I guess she's stuck there in the cloister, so she chose to, keep seeing me. And so we didn't talk about religion. Every time she tried, I would say, nope. So, but then things got better, and I started, maybe we can talk about religion again, but that was a bad mistake. And then she started to try and convert me, and this really reached a fever pitch when my parents died, and I think Luann felt solely responsible for my soul, solely responsible, and she was really on me, on my case, and so I started to, this song started out as a letter, and then it turned into a song, and when it first turned into a song, it was a dirge, it was a real dirge. I felt like I had to get it out, but I couldn't keep on with this dirge. So at some point, my wife takes credit for this. She says it was her idea, but at some point I started to think, what would Fountains of Wayne do? And I don't know how many of you know Fountains of Wayne, but Chris Collingswood and Adam Schlesinger, who I'm probably saying his name wrong, but he died this year of COVID. Sad, sad loss, but great songwriters. And this is what came. Use it again, right? No. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sister Luann, a moment if you can. I have not come to pray. There are things I'd like to say to you, and I've known you since I was crowned a little prince. We go way back to the start. Seems a shame we've grown apart, Sister Luann. Sister Luann, ever since the world began, we have argued and we fought for the right to think our thoughts, and lately you've come to think that my soul is on the brink, but I just found a different way. I'm not so sure there's more to say about it, Sister Luann. All you think about is heaven. I'd be inclined to say it's more a state of mind. And for what it's worth, I think it happens here on earth without a plan, Sister Luann. Sister Luann, I am a righteous Springsteen fan. Now what would be the use if all I talked about was Bruce? 'Cause when you talk about the Lord, I must confess I get so bored. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but we really must do something, Sister Luann. I don't think about your heaven. All my rebirth will likely happen here on earth. And though I don't pray, I'm on my knees most every day, like any man, Sister Luann. Sister Luann, like that song by Steely Dan. Sometimes I say a prayer in case somebody's there, and though I know, of course, there may be a higher force, knows I resist your definition. Don't send the Inquisition for me, Sister Luann. I could never reach your heaven. I may not pray, but I feel gratitude each day. And for what it's worth, I search for heaven here on earth best I can. Sister Luann, Sister Luann. So this is, what were you doing in April 2020? This is what I was doing. This is a song called April 2020. All right, here we go. There's nobody on the highway. At least that's what I'm told. It's been raining for a week now. Everybody's damp and cold. Ordinary people are afraid to walk downtown. Moms and dads are getting nervous with the schools all closing down. The sink is stacked with dishes. I'm drinking wine from a coffee mug, trying to hide myself away from this coronavirus bug. So I went and called my little sister. She's as happy as a clam. She says I'm staying home and walking dogs, just being who I am. She says I kinda like the way the world has slowed down to a crawl. She's not worrying on the future, tells me that won't help at all. Unemployment pays the bills, she says. She sounds a little smug. If I can now just keep ahead of this coronavirus bug. Another bungle in the White House. It's really quite a shame. Can't find no way to profit. Can't find no one to blame. And the mob is getting ugly, screaming about their rights, buying guns and toilet paper, getting ready for a fight. The baby man falls down again. He's such a feckless thug. And he's overmatched again by this coronavirus bug. And the kids are in the city trying to make the best of things, getting used to all the changes a good pandemic brings. We can't have them home for dinner, but we see them on the screen. Yeah, Zoom is like hugging in the age of quarantine. I went to find my baby, maybe have a little tug. She said, you stay away from me with your coronavirus bug. So I crawled off to the grocer's, tried filling up my cart, trying to be so conscientious, trying to stay 6 feet apart. When I made it to the checkout, I was feeling pretty pleased. She was bagging up my groceries when she turned to me and sneezed. She looked all kinds of sorry, gave a little shrug. And now I'm waiting on the wrath of this coronavirus bug. Na na na, 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 All right, so, okay, here we go. This is a song called Snow is Falling. I wrote this in 2017 also. The snow is falling, falling hard. Lays a blanket of winter quiet on the yard. And me, I'm watching the nighttime sky, thinking on the way life's gone and reasons why. The snow is falling in the nighttime sky. I remember way back when we'd give our hearts away and steal them back again. We were so young then, so naive. The things we wished for and the dreams we dared believe. I remember every dream. So many choices fall before you on the path. Linger for a moment and then they're gone, so gone. And every promise that you make leads you further on. You lose some people, lose your way. You try and shake yourself awake to face the day. You run for cover, make repair. You find a lover and you take her to the fair. You find a lover, you make your way. So many faces walk beside you on the path. Linger for a moment and then they're gone, so gone. And those you manage to hold on to lead you further on. They lead you further on. Kids are grown now, left the nest. They still come back to keep on track and to get some rest. And you're my lover, you stuck around. But it's getting late now and the rides are closing down. You're my lover, you stuck around. The snow is falling, falling down. It lays a blanket of winter quiet on the town. Tomorrow morning there's work to do, but tonight there's just this snow and me and you. The snow is falling
Oh, some great music. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it, and I know everyone else will too.
Thank you.
So how did you launch this effort to write such great songs?
I was in college when I decided to buy a guitar. I had been an athlete, and I really had to let go of that. And I had to find something else to do. And I thought I should buy a guitar. So I did. My older sister helped me out. She was a guitar player, and we went to the music store, and I got a Martin Sigma 6-string guitar, and I proceeded to learn how to play chords. And I wanted to write. I loved music. I think that the song is the perfect art form, really, for me. I like others, but give me a 3-minute song, and I thought maybe I could do that. Maybe I could do that. I wrote well, and I had to listen to enough music to I think begin to know what I liked about it, and what I liked about the songs that I loved, and so I thought, maybe I could do that. And so of course, when you buy a guitar, you have to learn how to play it before you can start writing songs. So but learning other people's songs is a step towards in learning chord structures and how people do things. And so it took me about a year, I think, before I could start writing. But I started writing. I would say about I was a junior in college, so I was 20 years old, and I think I started writing in about 1982. And I wrote a lot of bad songs, because that's what you do, as you're trying. I don't know anybody that says they started out writing good songs. I wrote a lot of bad songs, but I wrote a lot, and they, even my bad songs, there would be little things that I liked about them, and in 1985, I wrote a good song. I thought it was a good song, and I thought, that was the first time I think, I could really do this. I can really do this, and it made me very happy. And that was the song "On My Way," which I played, and I think that's held up. I like that song, and so. It inspired me to keep at it, because 2 years of bad songs, you start to wonder, I don't know, maybe I should, play tennis. But anyway, that's where it started.
So what inspired that song?
That was a song about leaving home. That was a point in my life where I was in graduate school, and I was getting ready to enter the world, and I had ended a long relationship, and my high school friends, were wanting me to come around and see them, and it wasn't really happening for me anymore. And I had this good friend who I had just driven to the airport. She was going off to start her life, and it just I was on my way. I was on my way. So I came out, and it was a very quick thing. It was a flash. They don't all happen like that. Most don't happen like that, but that really all came about very quickly, and I was very happy.
That was a quick write.
That was a quick write.
Wow.
I think that was like a 45-minute write. You go back and play around with the words a little bit, but it was mostly there.
So how many songs do you have, would you say?
I would say 100, 120, I don't know, something like that. That I still play for people, 30 or 40, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That I really love, 15.
Well, we heard some real gems here, and so what is your motive for dedicating this much time and energy to writing songs for this long? You didn't burn out. You just keep at it.
There were different phases of songwriting. For in those early years, I was trying to get better at it, and then I thought maybe I could do, the writing and the performing and the singing were three different things, and I think I'm a better writer than I am a singer or a guitar player, but I had to learn to get better at those things because no one else was singing my songs, and so I kept trying to get better at it, and there was a while when I started to play out places, and you know how that goes too. You're so nervous at first, when you get up there, and I don't know. There was always something. Then I thought, when I had 5 or 6 songs that were good enough, I thought maybe I could make a little tape for myself and get that out there and get jobs that way. So I started recording. I had a little 4-track Yamaha cassette recording machine, and I made my first tape, and I started sending it to different places, and I played some bars and coffee houses, and I moved down to the New York area, Stamford, Connecticut. My wife was not my wife then, but we were together, and we both graduated from different graduate schools at the same time, and my plan was to go to Boston, and I thought she was on board with that too, but called me one night to tell me she just got a job in New York. What? And so I went down there. Stamford, Connecticut was as close as I could get to New York City because I was not a city boy. But it was close enough to New York City that I was able to connect with that scene. And so, different things would happen while I was trying to get this tape out, and I was trying to meet people and network. There was this ad, I think, in the Village Voice. The Fast Folk musical magazine was having a concert at the Bottom Line in New York City, and I knew of Fast Folk because I had been in Cambridge and Somerville, and I would go to the Harvard Coop, and that's where I found my folk music, and they would carry the Fast Folk albums, which at that time just really begun in the early 80s, and it was an album and a magazine that would accompany it. So they would come in these plastic bags with the record inside and a sleeve and a magazine that would and they were documenting the New York folk scene. And so I called this number. We didn't have internet, I called this number. This was 1987 or 88 or something, and somebody answered, and I said, I just saw this ad in the Village Voice where you're having this concert, and I had this fantasy that somehow I could get in on that. I could, play with you guys. And the person who answered the phone was Richard Meyer, who was the editor of Fast Folk, and he said, "Well, unfortunately, that is just a fantasy, but these are established people who have been playing a long time." But he talked to me, and he invited me to volunteer for Fast Folk, and so I said, sure. And a few months later, he invited me to Jack Hardy's songwriter meetings, which I later learned were called the Songwriters Exchange. And I knew who Jack was because I had opened up for him, and I was impressed with his music. And he'd given me an album. He was very nice to me. And so when Richard invited me, I said, I can just show up. That's okay. He said, yeah, it's an open meeting. So I did. I went, and that just started a period of real growth as a songwriter, because those meetings were the people in that room were Jack and Richard. Frank Tedesco was there, who was just a marvelous songwriter, and Richard Schindel was there at the time. John Gorker would stop in once in a while, and their alumni had been Suzanne Vega and Sean Colvin, and I missed that period. But the people that were in the room, you were, so you would sit, so it would start with, it'd show up around 6:30 or so, and Jack would be making pasta. He made great pasta. I learned how to make pasta there. I learned how to make sausage. This is beyond what I learned as a songwriter. And he would make pasta for 15 people or whoever would show up, and people would bring wine, and we'd gather around and we'd eat pasta, and then when we would clean up, and then okay, it's time for the songs, and the goal was to bring a new song or part of a song every week, and we would just go around the circle, and you'd play what you had, and you would listen to what other people had, these masters, songwriting, and you'd get critiqued, you'd get feedback, and sometimes gentle, sometimes not so gentle, but you would listen to these. I mean, you would get real feedback from real songwriters, and they knew what they were talking about. So you had to listen, and it would make you better, and it made me better, and it made my songs better, and then you would get to listen to these things that they were working on and how their songwriting evolved, and it was just very magical and special. And I was in that area for about 4.5 years that I went to that. And so that happened, and that was hard to leave. When I left that area, we came here. That was a very hard thing to give up. But it was very special to have been a part of it. So that got me to the next phase, and I don't know, there was always something like that would happen that would keep it going. It was a little hard coming out here. I didn't have places to play anymore, and so I would write in my basement and work on recording for a while. And then I found Fire and Water was the first place that I remember in Northampton. There was a little Star Drucker, had that little club, Fire and Water, a cafe, and I played there. I started playing there, and but I didn't really meet a community until I went to Luthier's, and that was later. And that's a nice community to have. I hooked up with, there was a songwriter group that was running around here for a while. Eric Phelps ran it. I found on meetup.com, which, so that, getting into that group again, getting into that process, that's I think, when I was in a group and had people to bounce things off of, and some kind of motivation to write every week, that really helped me. I wrote a lot of the songs that you know now in that 3-year period that I was in that group. Sister Luann and Snow is Falling and Raise Out of Jail I wrote. I don't know if you remember that one. And I don't know, just some of my newer songs. But I find that process where you're part of a group and you're getting feedback and hearing other people's work, that helps a lot.
Can you think of a song or a passage from a song that really was improved as a result of this kind of a process?
That's a good one. I know that there was a song that I was writing called "Was It Only a Dream?" And I joke about that one. It's kind of a suicide waltz, and I didn't know. It wasn't really coming from my own experience. I didn't know if it was an authentic feeling song to other people who were listening to it. So I got feedback about that, after just the first verse. They said, go on, write more. So I guess that was encouraging, a way to keep writing. Changing the song. I've cut down songs. People have said, it's just going on a little bit too long. You gotta, and if you're in a group of songwriters and you're losing their attention because you have too many words, then you got to take that seriously because they're there to listen to you. So I think that's often helpful.
Yeah, neat. So when you're writing a song, you sit down to write it. What kinds of things do you do?
Well, if I have nothing, if I'm going in cold, I haven't written anything in a while. I mean, sometimes stuff just comes to me. I'll be laying in bed and it comes to me and I got to write it down, and I got to get a guitar so I will remember it. but sometimes, I will just, I haven't written anything I want. It's, after a while it gets to be, you need to do it. I need to do it. I need that release. I need to create something, every so often, because I don't know, it's part of me now. So if I've been dry for a while and I'm going in from scratch, I want to write something. I will go into a room, one of my favorite rooms, and I'll have a guitar, and I will commit to being in that room for a while. And in not only one night, but I'll commit to doing this for, I don't know, a week, 3 days, 4 days, just because it's not going to come, and you can't go in for 10 minutes and say, I'm going to get, you got to have some time. You got to make yourself available, or for me, I make myself available to it, because I think it's there, and you have to catch it. I don't, so you have to open yourself up in a certain way that that you can catch it, and that takes time. That takes a time commitment and an energy commitment. You can't be on a phone. I can't have my phone there, but I might have my laptop there just in case I want to start, get something really quick. I will write with paper and pen, but if I get to the editing place, then I will pull the laptop up. So it's time, and it's trying to just get rid of distractions, and then I'll just pick up the guitar and I'll play with it, and I'll just improvise, just play whatever comes out of my hands, something that's nothing, and I'll see if a riff comes or a chord sequence that attracts me, and then I'll go with that for a little while and see if that seems fruitful. And if not, I'll let go of that and go somewhere else. And if it does seem fruitful, I'll stay with it. And if I get a line or two, I'm happy, because then I will go to bed and that line will be gelling, or I'll drive and I'll think about that line. What can the next line be? And then if I get a verse, well, I'm very happy if I get a verse, and then I will. But I won't rush it. I'll try to just let it. What's the word when they put something in sauce? I forget. I don't retrieve as well as I used to. But anyway, it's not percolate, but it's it's. But then I'll try to keep going back to it, because if it doesn't come, I can't put away an idea for a few weeks and then come back to it, because I'm not in the same place. So I will have to get some fragment of a song that I can hold on to go forward. And so time, space, focus.
So that's laying it down. Then there's the editing, correct?
Yeah, well, that's the best part for me. Because
why is it the best part?
Because I love words and I love crafting songs. So once you have a form, even if it's a form and an idea, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can put scrambled eggs is a great example of that with Paul McCartney, and he had the melody and he knew it was wonderful. He didn't need the words yet, but usually I'll have more words than scrambled eggs. But if I have it, I'll say I have verse, chorus. If I have a whole song, then it's just okay. Now I have so much time, 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes, and I have so many spaces and so many lines to say something, and then how do I move it forward? So then there's the first verse, and you're saying something in the first verse, and then maybe there's a chorus or maybe there's another verse, but each place progresses from the last, so you're moving forward, and playing with words is
I don't know. I don't know if I'll get a take of Sister Luann today, but you know, that one. Those once I got that song into a form, then I could just play with the words, and the words were just falling out of the sky and be, Bruce Springsteen, that whole thing, and then, words like "I must confess," that was just, it was just Inquisition, it was like, it was just great fun to come up with those things, and I think I had pages with Sister Luann. I mean, I really had pages. And then it was just narrowing it down, and I like that part. I just like that part.
So what advice would you have to someone who wants to start songwriting or wants to improve their songwriting skills?
Well, don't get discouraged by writing bad songs. Be prepared to write a lot of bad songs. That's just seems to be how it starts. And I read a lot of songwriters too, so I don't think that's just me. But be willing to commit time to it, because it takes a lot of time. It's not easy. To listen to great songs and great songwriters and figure out why they're great, and why you like the songs you like. It's lyric, right, and melody, and rhythm, and cadence. That's another thing I like about editing. I really like the way syllables fit into. I count my syllables. I really do. And one of my one thing that irks me about some songwriters is they're just trying to cram things and they don't pay attention to cadence, and that bothers me. But anyway, and if you can find a way to get feedback, whether it's or to play songs in front of people, that's an important thing to do as a songwriter too, because you're going to see how people react, and you're also going to feel what it's like to sing those lines in front of people, which is another internal reaction that's just as important as those external reactions. Because I'll get up there and I'll think I have a good song, and I'll hit this line, and I'm like, oh, how can I say that? That's not a good line, and I'll throw that out. I think writers' groups, as I said, are really, if you can find one of those, that's really the best thing to do. But just talk to other songwriters too about song and songwriting.
So do the listening, and you said reading. You say you read
Well, there are
songwriting?
lots of great books out there about songwriters talking about songwriting. Paul Zollo has a couple of books, Songwriters on Songwriting, where he just interviews Paul Simon, Tom Petty, Brian Wilson, and I'll just keep those close by just for, just reading a little bit at a time, and those are really just helpful. Hearing the masters talk about their craft, I find them helpful.
Yeah. Can you imagine like being in a songwriting mill and like go in from 9 to 5 and write?
Tin Pan Alley, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when something is, I can imagine. I would like to co-write. I've never really co-written very much with anybody, and when I do, in that Paul Zola book, Carole King and Jerry Goffin, talk about that, right? 9 to 5, and they would have, who did they have next to them? I forget those guys. Barry Mann was next to them, and and they would hear what each other was working on through the walls, and they would be stealing it. They would be stealing. Anything was game for the taking, and so yeah, that would be pretty. Paul Simon did that. Neil Diamond did that. That would be kind of cool. I don't know how long I would last at it, and if I would get tired of it, because it would then be my job. I don't know. Sometimes that can happen.
Yeah, I recall an interview with Smokey Robinson where he said he'd written thousands of songs because that's what he did. He would go in, write 2 a day, 5 days a week, and some of them were just pure genius. And he said some of them may or may not ever be a hit. They weren't that good. As you were saying, you don't write winners every time. But in the process of writing all of them, you improve and then you get them. A prize will come along.
And you don't even always know when you have a good one. Paul Simon thought 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover was just kind of a filler. You know, that's such a great song. You know?
Yeah. Let's see. So how would you describe your success? You've done some performing and you've been in some contests and songwriting and performing contests. What has that been like?
I have, yeah, I mean, there are kind of moments that I've had that were affirming, that, you know, because it's one thing for your friends to like your songs, but you don't know if you can ever really trust them, you know. and so when the songwriting community responds to one of your songs, that's a big deal. And I've had that happen a few times. I did have a song that appeared on the Fast Folk record, and that was pretty cool. That was very cool because, you know, that's what we all wanted. I remember talking with Richard Schindel. You know, we just met. You know, he was like, "Are you trying to get a song on the record?" And we were all trying to get songs on the record. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, what is Richard?" Richard Meyer was the editor at the time. Did he say anything? I said, "Well, he kind of likes this one." He said he said we should record this one, but, you know, that was like 3 months ago. And I don't know if he's really serious. And he goes, "Yeah, that's what he did to me." Well, I felt like I was in good company because even then Richard was writing amazing songs and he had that voice, you know, and he was such a good guitar player. So that was. But anyway, so I got one on a Fast Folk record, and early 2000 I got to play at the Kerrville Folk Festival in their New Folk competition, and that was pretty cool because I think everybody I knew wanted to do that. It's hard to get in there. It's like there would be 600 applications, and it was, I forget the guy's name, Rod Kennedy, I think, was the only guy that would listen to the tapes, and he would pick them out, and he would send your tape back, and you would know how far you got. You know, because he would send it back right where he shut it off. So you could get a tape back that, you know, didn't even make it to the chorus. And but anyway, I got in, and that was pretty cool. And then you're playing in front of a big audience, so that was special. And then Paul Stuckey had a group that was writing socially conscious songs, and they had a songwriting competition, and. I was a finalist in a couple of those. And again, I got to go down to Kerrville, which is kind of I don't know if you've ever been to Kerrville, but it's kind of the folk writing festival, a songwriting festival.
I've listened to some of the music, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a concert it's an 18-day festival, and there are concerts every night, 6 hours of music every night. And that's not even the best music that's being made. It's the campfires. The people are just, you know, wow, I heard so much good music, and of course felt so insecure and inferior to all those people. But when I got up on stage and I got to play a song in front of these people, I felt very cool. And Paul Stuckey, you know, took me out to breakfast, and that felt very cool. And I don't know, I got to go to Kerrville, you know. So those were highlights. I had that Red Sox song that I played. I have. Funny story. Okay, so as I said, I think in the introduction, I don't know, it might get edited out. That loss was it seems silly now, but that loss hurt me. It hurt me. It had been what 80? Was it 86, 85 years at that point? And you know, I'd never seen the Red Sox in the World Series, or never seen them win a World Series. So. And it looked like they were going, and then it collapsed. What was?
Yeah, they were in the '75 World Series. I watched every pitch of that series, all 7 games.
Yep, and that was 7 games, and they were in '67, and that won 7 games too. But this one, anyway. So I went down. I didn't know what to do. It was 2 in the morning, and I just had to. So I went down. I picked up my guitar, and and that song started as, oh, that's how it started. And I started doing that over chords, and then, oh Grady, what have you done? It's just that's where it started. And so I wrote that song over the next 2 nights, I think, and I had a little digital workstation, and I recorded it, and I thought, this is pretty good. So I brought it down to the river, which at that time was on Main Street. It was over in the Gilt Building, I think, that art building, and I went in. And I spoke to this young woman whose name was Rachel Maddow. And I said, I got this song I just wrote. I want somebody to listen to it because I think it's good. And she said, well, we don't play novelty records. I said, it's about what just happened to the Red Sox. We don't play novelty records. I said, oh, okay, all right, I understand, but you should just listen to it. Just listen to it. And she did. And she gave it to Johnny Memphis, and I got a call later in the day that they were playing it on the river, and that was very cool. That was really neat. So, and then later when Rachel became famous, of course, she listened to my record. So,
you got some bragging rights there.
yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
How do you feel about writing topical songs? I mean, like Mrs. Johnson is pretty hard-hitting song. Do you feel like you're conveying an important message, or how does that feel to you?
I feel like it's very, very hard to write political music, which is why one reason I shy away from it, because it often, comes off preachy and us versus them, and you're telling people what to do. But and you've heard, I have some songs like that. I think you know that. What's the President's Day song I have, which is fairly unkind to our former president. And but Mrs. Johnson, I felt like that first line just came to me. That was one of those. Did you see Mrs. Johnson? Did you see? And I was like, well, what does that mean? What is that about? And so I just, and the next line, a black man took a knee. And I thought, well, this is maybe okay. This is, it felt like more of a, all this stuff was going on. And it was just the beginning. It was 2017. Well, it wasn't really just the beginning, but it had been going on for a while. It was sinking in, and everything was bad. The border and the shootings, and I mean, not that it's any better now, but things were turning for the worst very rapidly. And I had this cousin who was a Facebook friend, and she was, I would say, how can you, you're a good Catholic woman. How can you justify these things that are going on and support this regime? And that's what that song was about. It's like, this is all happening out there. How can we be silent? How can you tolerate it? How can you support it? And so I don't know. It was kind of a personal song, and it just. But it was a political song too, and it felt like an okay way to sing about it. It was, at that point things were just breaking through. I mean, it was hard to write without talking about that stuff. I don't know.
Seems like a parallel between that and the Red Sox song. it was in you, and you just had to get it out there.
Yeah, I think that's
Interesting. True. Okay. That April 2020. How long did it take you to write that?
That was another one that started in bed. It's just I think it started with the Trump part. The baby man falls down again. And it just came fast. I had to go write it down. And I had a melody in my head. I had that kind of energy that was not quite a talking blues, but it's kind of that, it was subterranean homesick blues kind And I liked what was in my head, so I wrote it down. And then the part about my little sister came, and that was just came easy. But I think again that's something that was just on my mind again. It was the fear, it was the panic stage. It was April 2020. Was just I had just not gone back to work. I was on vacation in March of 2020 when things started to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife is very vulnerable. She has respiratory issues, and I was talking to my friend who's a pharmacist, and he scared the shit out of me. He said, "Don't go to work." And this was early, and he said, "She's got respiratory issues. This is what's going to happen." And there was like then people, the people that were getting it were needing ventilators, and so anyway, it was on my mind. Anyway, I didn't go back to work.
Mm.
We shut down very quickly. We still had to go to the grocery store, I think, but other things you can get anything online, and that's what we started doing. We were very scared at first, and I don't know. That song was a little about trying to add a humorous twist to that. I think we were living through something that I just thought. Once that came out, I got to write this down. I got to get it.
Is there anything else that you were thinking about expounding on or reflecting on?
The thing I think that you sent some questions, and one of them was why do you do it? And I thought about that. Why do I do it? And I said a little bit about, once you start to get into the habit, you kind of need to do it. If it's rewarding for you, you need to do it. But one of the benefits of this for me that I didn't foresee was that I have these little snapshots through my life about where I was and who I was at certain times and who I was with. I have songs about my father, my mother, and my sisters, and just different things that had the Red Sox, and when I sing them, it brings me back, and I like that, I like going back to those places, most of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really nice benefit to have.
Like home movies, huh?
Yeah.
Cool.
They're little movies, little stories.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I can't think of anything else. Except what a pleasure it's been to talk with you about this.
It's been very special. I love talking about this stuff, and you have some great insights and experiences to share with our audience and with me, and I appreciate that. Not to mention the great music.
Well, thanks. I love talking about songwriting. I don't get to do it enough.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people to talk to about songwriting. Who has time? But, it's been nice. Thank you.
Good. You want to take another shot at Sister?
Yeah, let's do it.
Thanks for watching our show. I'd like to acknowledge the support of the Western Mass Songwriters Collaborative, promoting the original music scene in Western Massachusetts. If you want to learn more about the collaborative, go to their Facebook page. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Dan. I hope you'll tune in again for the show that puts a spotlight on songwriters.